If you're tired of your hair seeming like it's growing slow, or if you've just reached that plateau where it seems like your hair won't grow past a certain point, this video is definitely for you. Hey Glam Ambassadors, Linwood here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about some simple, easy to follow tips and techniques that you can use to grow your hair faster, longer, or fuller. Now, I say easy to follow because a lot of it is not going to be that YouTube nonsense like the coochie cream on your scalp or the inversion method or any of this other stuff that has you kind of doing some extra stuff or going out and buying chili powder or whatever for your scalp. That's just crazy, and we're not gonna do that today. So I started growing my hair out about 2 years ago, and I'll show you guys a photo of what my hair was looking like then. You can see it wasn't even touching my ears really, to now this is the fullness and the length that it is, and when it's stretched, it ends up falling from the bottom. Let me find a better curl than that one, hold on. That one had a little knot at the end. From the bottom, it reaches down to just past my armpit. Okay, in the front, when I pull it, it reaches down to about the collarbone. So you guys can kind of see there, oh, a little past the collarbone actually. So I am to just past the collarbone when I am stretching this hair, because I don't really put any heat on it. But in the back, when I pull, it comes down to just past the armpit. So in 2 years time, that's been my growth. These are the techniques that I use. My first tip for you would be to develop a low heat or a no heat regimen. What this means is if you're currently using heat on your hair, at least cut down on temperature and on frequency that you're putting heat in your hair.
Daddy.
Hello, Zoom.
I want to take a picture of you.
I'm not taking a picture, I'm doing a video, so.
Whee!
Cheese! Okay, go play with your sister.
Okay, quack quack.
Okay, see you later. Go that way. Developing a low heat or a no heat regimen essentially means that you are cutting down on the temperature that you're using in your hair. Now, this does not mean don't style your hair, but what it does mean is you need to go ahead and think about heat-free ways to style your hair. Things like braid outs, twist outs, updos, protective styles, of course wigs, things like that, but you also want to make sure your scalp is still getting a chance to get some oxygen without you burning up your hair trying to use a wand, a curling iron, a flat iron, anything like that every day. My next tip is to stretch out your chemical services. Now, what I mean by this is if you're wearing a relaxer or a perm, I understand that that relaxer might say every 6 to 8 weeks is when you are to do your retouch on your relaxer. Keep in mind that is a minimum window. That means not to do it before that time frame. In the salon, I've had clients that I've stretched to 12 weeks, 15 weeks, 6 months, even a year in between relaxers, especially if we're transitioning from relaxed to natural. We're able to go ahead and get that hair taken care of in a rather reasonable manner without feeling like we have to constantly put chemicals in their hair. Now, this is especially helpful because the overlap of those chemicals can actually cause quite a bit of issue with weak spots in the hair, which leads to breakage once the hair gets to say like shoulder length, something like that. If you are trying to transition to natural, I also don't want you to think that you have to go through this process of doing it however frequently without your hair breaking off. If you keep your moisture and your protein balance where it should be, that hair does not break off in the process of transition. That is a lie from the pits of Hello Kitty, okay? If you're getting a perm, try stretching those perms out a bit more to where you're not doing it so frequently. A perm makes your hair curly, by the way. Relaxer makes your hair straight, just to clear the record. If you're doing color services, make sure that you are opting for a darker color or a rinse rather than going with these blonde colors or these high lift colors that are lifting your hair to no end. The lighter that color is, the more damage you're typically doing to your hair. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that on a regular basis, or at least during the duration of you trying to grow your hair out. I say this because a lot of times I see people where they want their hair to be down their back and they want it blonde. Growing it out and going blonde is not really something that goes together. Now, you can grow it out, then go blonde and be able to maintain your length, but growing it out while trying to stay blonde is just a hassle. So honestly, no color is preferable, but if you're trying to cover gray, things like that, opt for a darker shade. It doesn't have to be black, but just like say maybe a light brown instead of a blonde if you're trying to go for color, something along those lines, rather than bleaching your hair out or putting these severe highlights, things like that in the hair that could potentially cause issues with dryness and breakage down the line. Keep in mind that's breaking down the bonds in the hair as well. So the more abusive you are to this hair, the more likely it is to break down the line later and the more maintenance it needs to keep up. My next point is to go ahead and invest in quality shampoo and conditioner. Now, the number one issue I see with so many people when it comes down to using shampoo and conditioner in their hair is that they are spending good money on gels, they're spending good money on creams, they're spending good money on weave, everything except for shampoo and conditioner. And the very first and most important place in your entire regimen is usually shampoo and conditioner. If you're using a quality shampoo, it helps to increase your moisture balance. It helps to bring everything back to where it should be, or it helps to encourage or instill back what is missing. If you're using cheap shampoo, it's stripping moisture. Your hair might smell great, but it's not necessarily going to do much more than get your hair clean. So we don't just want to clean the hair, we want to properly condition the hair, keep it nice and soft, moisturize, all that. Keep in mind, if you feel like your hair is always hard, if it's brittle and breaking, or if you're just not quite satisfied with your curl pattern or the definition, a lot of times that all ties back to moisture. Also keep in mind, the number one cause of breakage is dryness. So if you're using a shampoo and conditioner that is, let's say, really inexpensive and honestly not balanced for the hair, you're gonna have some issues along the way. This also goes for selecting shampoos and conditioners that are for your hair type. I do not believe in using shampoo that's for all hair types because it's just not one size fits all. That doesn't fit you any more than that one size fits all shirt does. That being said, make sure you're selecting a shampoo and a conditioner that is high quality, which usually you are gonna see a little bit of an elevated price, but it doesn't have to be a salon price point. But definitely stay away from the cheaper ones like Suave, VO5, what's that, White Rain, stuff like that. If you're buying it based off of coconut, apple, pineapple, whatever smell, stop that. Get it based off of my hair is dry, I need moisture. My hair is bleached, I need protein, or I need protein and moisture. Buy based off of what your hair needs, not based off of the smell that you like. Also, if you are color treated, if your hair is prone to dryness, utilizing something that's sulfate free is gonna be a better way to go. Speaking of conditioning, my next tip is whenever you are conditioning the hair, make sure that you let that conditioner sit in for a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes. Now, the reason why I say this is because the shampoo is gonna strip out a lot of moisture, and not only that, your regular regimen, evaporation, things like that are going to cause some of that moisture to escape from the hair. You wanna give the conditioner some time to do its job. Think of it like if you were to put on lotion and immediately rinse it off, it had no time for absorption. You need to give your hair time to absorb the moisture that you're trying to put in with that conditioner. So usually what I tell my clients, because I know 3 to 5 minutes extra in the shower can sound a bit excessive, but usually if I tell them when you're shampooing your hair, you know you're getting in the shower to shampoo, start off with your shampoo first. Then from there, go ahead and put your conditioner in and leave that conditioner in while you go through the rest of your bathing routine. Especially if you're shaving while you're in there, or just if you need to exfoliate, anything like that, giving that conditioner time to sit on the hair plus the steam from the shower allows that conditioner to penetrate a bit deeper. And then when you rinse out, just make sure to turn down the temperature of the water to cool. It doesn't have to be frigid and cold, but cool, and rinse that conditioner out of the hair. It helps to lock down the cuticles of the hair and lock in those conditioning emollients. So you keep more of the moisture that that conditioner gave you, and the conditioner had a chance to actually do its job and do it well. On a further note of conditioning, let's go ahead and dive into deep conditioning. Now, when I say deep conditioning, I mean basically that you're letting this conditioner sit on the hair, typically with it wrapped up in a plastic cap. You can wrap it with a hot towel, you can sit under a dryer, or you can sit under a hair steamer. And basically what this is for is to push moisture or protein deeper into the hair. So when I'm saying this, I'm telling you to deep condition a minimum of once a month with both moisture and protein. The reason why is because this helps to keep your moisture and your protein balance where it should be, as well as ensuring that if you are using heat styling products, things like that on your hair is getting back some of the things that it's losing on a regular basis. It helps out a lot. Now, my next point is to stay hydrated. I know a lot of people don't like water. Keep in mind, you can use other things to kind of hydrate, but water is ultimately going to be your best thing, especially when you're talking through videos and your mouth gets dry. The reason why I say this is because the body functions primarily with water. It's needed, it's necessary, and it's very helpful in terms of how your hair looks, how your hair grows, how your scalp is in terms of dryness. Because if it's dry and it's itching, you're scratching all the time, you can cause issues with scarring and damage to the scalp like that. Also, water helps out with being able to create blood. It helps out with being able to keep the skin soft and supple, and with flushing toxins out of the body. All of which are things that help out with clearer skin, nail growth, and hair growth. It's all tied in. Everything you eat and drink comes out in your hair, your skin, and your nails. On that note, make sure that you are eating a vitamin-rich diet. That means that you are not just kind of eating junk food and expecting it to work miracles. You're eating vitamin-rich foods or naturally vitamin-rich foods. So when you are eating, keep in mind that you don't want to just eat anything. If you find that's harder for you to stay nutritionally sound, with your doctor's approval, you could potentially do a multivitamin and see benefit there as well. While we're on the topic of vitamins, I would typically recommend using something that is going to be plant-derived or all natural, just so that way your body's able to absorb it a bit easier. But if that's not in your price point or your budget, I understand. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So we'll get you there. My next point is to utilize scalp massage. Now, scalp massage is important when combined with nutrition and with proper hydration. Doing scalp massage on its own is not as beneficial, so the reason why I put it in this order is for that purpose. So just make sure that if you are eating right and you're staying hydrated, that you're utilizing scalp massage, because it helps out with loosening the muscles, with activating your glands and things in the scalp, such as your sebaceous gland. It helps out with keeping that skin supple and soft and producing enough oil to help condition the scalp and the hair naturally, and it helps to increase blood flow to get those nutrients that you're getting through your eating and through your hydration, things like that, into the blood supply, and to get that blood supply moving throughout the scalp. So by having more blood supply, you're having more toxins removed, and you're having more of those vitamin contents, things like that, brought to the follicles, which your hair needs in order to be able to grow. So this is a very simple technique. Now, when you're massaging your scalp, you want to keep in mind that you're using the balls of your fingertips, not your nails. We don't want to be constantly scratching and things like that when it comes down to massaging the scalp. The reason why is because you can cause a lot of damage to the scalp, especially if you tend to sweat and things in the head and you notice that you're always scratching. I would suggest going ahead and rinsing the hair and co-washing periodically, just to remove some of that sweat that's drying the scalp out and allowing you to keep that moisture balance high so you're not scratching and things quite a bit. Keep in mind, hair doesn't grow through scar tissue, and the more regularly you're scratching, the more scar tissue your scalp is going to build over time. So scalp massage like this here allows you to increase blood flow and circulation. And so a great time to do this, honestly, is when you're in the shower and you're shampooing and conditioning anyway. I also like to do it first thing in the morning when I am getting up from waking up. My hair is sometimes packed down a bit, and it allows me to put some life and some body back into my hair so it looks full, because it's not quite as thick as it looks. It also allows me to increase that blood flow and that circulation to the scalp. So just keep that power tip tucked in your back pocket. My next point is to use a moisturizing leave-in or a detangler. This is especially the case if you have curly hair or if you have tangle-prone hair. The reason why is because it helps to kind of encourage and smooth down those cuticles a bit more after your final rinse. It also helps to increase your moisture balance or increase your protein without kind of overdoing it like you would typically see. And it gives some slip to the hair, so as you're detangling, you're able to get through that hair without catching and knotting quite a bit. So using a leave-in is beneficial, but keep in mind, leave-in conditioner and conditioner are two different things. So one does not omit the other. If you would think of anything, keep in mind, conditioner does a job and leave-in conditioner is just the encourager. It helps to hold up the job that the conditioner is doing. Leave-in conditioner is not meant to replace conditioner. On the topic of leave-in conditioner, that leads me to my next point, and that is to make sure that when you are brushing or detangling or combing the hair, that you're doing so after you've put that detangler in there and you're using a brush with soft, flexible bristles, something like a Denman paddle brush. There we go, something like a Denman paddle brush, like you would see here, where it's got the bristles on there that are soft and they're easily movable. You don't have a large ball tip on there. Or you could use a wet brush. I like this one here because it's super flexible. The whole brush is flexible, not just the bristles. And so it's nice because if you have a sensitive scalp, things like that, this works really well. If you're going to be combing, using a large tooth comb is ideal. Now in my instance, I don't really use combs in my hair at all. I just finger comb if I'm gonna do anything, because I can feel where the tangles are happening a lot easier that way, and I'm not snatching through and causing breakage. That being said, it leads me to my next point, that when you are detangling, start from the ends of the hair and work your way on up. That way you're not snatching through tangles or causing a lot of pain by brushing from the top down. It just creates more knots in the hair. If you start from the bottom and work your way up, it's a much easier, painless process that allows you to be able to treat that hair with care, with love, and with the attention that it needs to get it detangled. While we're on the topic of detangling, if you've noticed that your ends are always knotted or they're easily getting knotted, things like that, you tend to have like balls on the ends of the hair, or if you notice that whenever you do put heat to it, that if you straighten it, it doesn't stay straight, you curl it, it doesn't stay curly, and the ends are always frizzy, there's a high likelihood that you need a trim. So with that being said, trim your hair as needed. And the reason why I say it like that is because a lot of people will try to put a stipulation on it of every 4 to 6 weeks you need a trim. If you're following these other tips that I give you, you can stretch to 3 months and sometimes longer depending on your hair type. If you have fine hair, you're going to be a little bit more prone to breakage in general, so just keep in mind you may have to trim a little more frequently. In this time that I've been growing my hair out, I've trimmed my hair about a good 6 times. I know 2 of those times have been a cut just to either even it out or because I had more split ends than I should have just from not taking care of it as well as I should have. So even with proper trimming, you can see growth on there. Now keep in mind, for trimming, I recommend going to a licensed professional that you trust and talking to them about exactly what it is you're looking for, letting them know, hey, I'm trying to grow my hair out. I just want the ends dusted. Even if that means it's not even at the moment, I want to just take care of the split ends. That is all. If you can find someone that you trust to help you out through that process, it helps out in a massive way. It allows you to kind of grow that hair out in the meantime and then worry about getting it all detailed and stuff once you get it to the length that you want it. My next point is to stay away from products that have SD alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, or isobutane in there because they tend to be drying ingredients. As I said earlier, if your hair is dry, it's going to be more prone to breakage. So we don't want to put things in there that are going to cause an internal dryness in the hair and cause the hair to be thirsty. We want to make sure we keep that hair hydrated just like you keep the body hydrated. Nothing on your body or in your body functions when it's dehydrated. You need moisture inside and out. So whenever you're using products, try to opt for an alcohol-free gel, alcohol-free edge controls, alcohol-free hairsprays, or limit your usage of those products. I understand, especially with hairspray, you kind of want it to perform, you want it to perform well, but let's not find ourselves using products like mousses, hairsprays, things like that that are full of alcohol on a frequent and regular basis and then wonder why your hair is breaking or why it doesn't seem to be growing past a certain plateau. My next point is to never, ever, ever apply heat, especially direct heat like curling, flat ironing, things like that on dirty hair. I want you to think of it in terms of like if you are baking something or something along those lines, you are basically now baking dirt onto your hair and it creates a buildup that's really hard to get off later. It also prevents moisture from getting in the hair because you've now got something that's creating a barrier and a boundary that's been burnt onto the hair. It can lead to breakage and issues with buildup along the lines, so you really don't want to do that. Anytime that you're applying heat, make sure that you're doing it on clean hair. I don't care what anyone else tells you, I'm telling you now, do not go applying heat on dirty hair. You're gonna have some problems. And my last point for you on this video is to make sure that you are sleeping on satin or silk. You can use a satin pillowcase, you could use a satin bonnet, you could use a satin lined beanie like this one here. This is my absolute favorite. Typically when I'm wearing my hair in my curls like this, I'll go ahead and place my hair all up in the top of my head like this here. I'll take a hairband like so. And then from there, I'll just go ahead and take my satin lined beanie and place it on top. And I sleep like this here. Now the thing that I love about this is it stays on my head easier than a bonnet would. And on top of that, I can pull it down like this and it doubles as a sleep mask. So I'm not waking up before my children get the opportunity to wake me up when the sun gets up in the morning. So it's nice because it keeps my hair moisturized and it holds my edges flat without my hair being tied super tight, and it doesn't slide off as easily as a satin cap would. At the same time, if your pillow flies off the bed, you would have to worry about like, you know, my pillow flew off of my laying on cotton, things like that. Despite the fact that I actually lay on satin sheets because I'm a wild sleeper, it helps out in a massive way. Those are my tips and my pointers. The reason why I recommend the satin is because it's a low absorption fabric, so it's not going to absorb the moisture from your hair like cotton would absorb the moisture from your hair, or like the couch pillows, like which can be made of all sorts of rough fabrics, would cause that. So it limits friction on your hair, and it also limits you from having issues along the lines of dryness or something just taking that moisture out of your hair, because as I stated earlier, the number one cause of breakage, which takes away from length retention, is dryness. So if you can keep your moisture balance high, keep your hair healthy, and keep it moisturized, which is keeping your moisture balance high. That's the same thing. Keeping it trimmed. You'll notice that you're able to better care for that hair, and that you'll see a better length retention and better growth in your hair. If you found this video helpful, and hopefully it wasn't too long, please make sure to leave a comment down below or give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already a Glam ambassador, you can become one by subscribing to this channel. Until next time, you guys, take care, God bless, and stay glam. And you know I love you, boo. Bye.